All right, you're welcome. And this is the continuation of the employees toolkit. We've talked about your professional document, and now we're looking at your digital readiness. We're looking at your digital readiness, right? This is talking about organizing your digital assets and preparing for virtual interviews to ensure you are job search ready in a tech-driven world, right? Digital readiness is talking about organizing your digital assets, right? And preparing for virtual interviews to ensure you are job search ready in a tech-driven world. So quickly, we'll dive into the conversation. Right, so the first thing you want to do is to organize your files, right? Save all essential job application documents. You can, and I would advise that you always have like an online, portfolio, an online, backup, right? Maybe your Google Drive, your Dropbox, and all of that you can easily get access to this document, right? Remember, we said you should save your names professionally, right? Right. So organize your files, organize all your certificates, organize all your applications, your portfolio, everything, and have them online, stored in an online, database, in an online platform, so you can easily access it at any time, right? The next thing, you want to prepare for your virtual interviews, right? Usually these things happen on Zoom, Google Meet, or Microsoft Teams. Right? These are the three platforms that recruiters majorly use: Zoom, Google Meet, or Microsoft Teams. Right? Zoom, Google Meet, or Microsoft Teams. You want to have these three applications installed on your phone, right? Because if your potential employer says his meeting is happening on Zoom, you can't necessarily say it is Google Meet you have, right? So you want to make sure that you have these three applications installed on your phone so that you are ready, right? And even if you don't have them, as soon as your potential employer tells you that this is the platform that would be used for your interview, you want to quickly install that and set it up. Now, also, you want to make sure that you've tested the application. Don't just install the app a few minutes to your interview and expect to have an excellent experience, right? Install the application, try it out, maybe connect with someone, do like a test interview, and make sure you are ready. Next thing you want to also look out for is to have a clean and quiet space, well lighted. There should be light. People should be able to see your face, and do not back the light. If you back the light, your face will be dark, right? So you want to have a clean environment. You want to have a quiet space for calls, so you're not having interferences, right? You're not having disturbances. You want to have a quiet environment, clean and well lit environment. We'll also advise headphones and then a working webcam, right? If you're using your phone, right, you can also use a headphone and your phone camera. If you're using a laptop, most laptops have their webcam, but if not, you can have an extension. So have your headphones so that you are connected in and you're not distracted. And the last thing is, you want to also test the strength of your network provider. This is where most people miss it, right? Because it's usually sometimes embarrassing, and it presents you in a not so excellent way when you are in an interview and your network is not so strong, right? So you want to try as much as possible to test for the strength of your network provider. Find out what network works best in your environment, right? And get that one, and get prepared for your interview, right? These are just tips that would help if you have a virtual interview, right? The next thing we're looking at is your job search strategy. Now, you're ready for interviews, you have your CVs, you have your Google Meet and all that installed. You've uploaded your CVs and everything to your Google Drive. Now you're ready to start, applying for jobs and all of that. Then the first thing, so job search strategy is talking about developing a systematic approach to finding and applying for jobs effectively and efficiently, right? Developing a systematic approach to finding jobs and applying for jobs effectively and efficiently, right? So when it comes to applying for jobs and looking for jobs, there are quite a number of platforms, right? We've highlighted some of them. The first is LinkedIn, then we also have Jobberman, then we have My Job Mag, we also have Hot Nigerian Jobs, and then we have Glassdoor. Now, Glassdoor is a platform for reviews and strategy and salary information, right? So you want to have, an idea of what is the typical salary range for a particular job you're applying for. That's if the recruiter does not, has not already put the amount that would be paid, right? So you can take advantage of Glassdoor to find out, what is the salary range, salary information for that kind of role, right? So work with LinkedIn, work with Jobberman, work with My Job Mag. There are quite a number of them. So I encourage that you do more research and find out more platforms. All right, so now let's look at networking, right? It's important you network, right? Don't just stay in your place isolated and all of that. It's important that you network, you attend webinars, you attend conferences, you attend events, you follow recruiters and people in your industry, experts in your industries, you network with people. That is how you get to know about jobs and you apply for them and then you secure them. You can also join, alumni groups, professional associations, and all of that, right? Make sure to network with people, engage with people, especially those in your niche, right, who are also doing something similar, industry experts and all of that. Network with them, engage with them, and follow what they are doing. Now let's look at application skills, right? Let's look at application skills. So this is talking about mastering the art of customizing your job application and communicating professionally with potential employers, right? Right. So this is talking about tailoring your applications, right? Tailoring your applications specifically for the job and for the organization. You have to align your skills in your CV. We talked about it with the job description, right? Align your skills with the job description. Highlight keywords, right? From the job descriptions that was posted. Align keywords in your CV and in your resume, right? And also you want to follow the instructions that were given, right? When you were when you saw the job ad, right? Usually there are some descriptions given. You want to follow those descriptions to the detail, right? Do not miss anything. Follow the naming convention and send the type of document that they request for. Very important, right? Follow every instructions that was given. And also, when you're writing your emails, you want to have a clear subject line. First of all, you must have a subject line that is clear, right? For example, application for marketing intern, right? And then you can put your name. And also, you need to have a proper greeting, brief introduction, and then you attach your document. Proper greeting, brief introduction, and attach your document. Don't just attach documents without a proper greeting and a brief introduction about yourself, right? You want to have a proper greeting, brief introduction, and then you attach your document. Like I said, don't just attach document without an introduction, right? Lastly, you want to proofread what you wrote before sending. It's very important. It speaks a lot about who you are. Proofread before sending. Proofread before sending the information. Next, let's look at interview readiness, right? Equipping yourself with skills and knowledge to confidently perform well in your job interviews, right? Quickly look at that. So the first thing I want you to do is to practice, interview questions, right? Common questions like, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? You need to practice these questions, right? There are quite a number of them, and you can use AI to find out more questions that can be asked, right? Practice these questions. You can get a practice buddy, right? Or you can record yourself answering these questions, right? But by all means, you want to practice these questions. It will also help in your communication skills, and it will also help you not to forget some of the things you want to say during the interview, right? So you want to practice these questions again and again and again, and it gets you more prepared. They say practice makes perfect. So you want to keep practicing the questions, right? Tell me about yourself. What do you do? What are your strengths? What is one unique thing about you? Tell me about your experiences and all of that. practice these questions, right? So you have your words, right, that are, that are more representative of your kind of work, right? So practice these questions over and over again. Now, there's a technique called the STAR technique. It talks about situation, task, action, and result. STAR is an acronym for situation, task, action, and result. It's basically saying that when you are answering questions, you describe the situation in context, right? First, so describe the situation in context. Describe the challenge you were solving. Describe the problem you were solving, right? In your previous experience. Now, also task is talk about your responsibility. What was your role in solving that problem? And then action talks about what were the steps you took in solving that problem. And then results talks about what you achieved, right, at the end of that endeavor. At the end of solving that problem, what were the results you achieved? So that is how you answer problems, right? Answer questions during your interview, right? Describe the context, right? Describe your role, talk about your role. You state the steps you took to solve the problem, and then what results you got by solving those problems, right? All right, now let's also look at your appearance and your etiquette, right? Now, you don't necessarily need to be told that you need to dress professionally, right? Even if it's going to be a virtual interview, you need to dress professionally and then be on time, maintain eye contact with your interviewer. You need to be confident and you need to show enthusiasm, right? Dress professionally, right? Be on time, maintain eye contact, and show enthusiasm. This is very important when it comes to interviews, right? Now, let's quickly look at professional etiquette. All right, it's talking about practicing respectful, timely, and appropriate behaviors that leave a lasting positive impression in the workplace and in the recruitment process, right? Practicing respectful, timely, and appropriate behaviors that leave a lasting positive impression about yourself in the workplace and in your interview process. So quickly, the first thing is timeliness. Remember, we talked about checking your emails frequently, and also leave your notifications on, right, so that you can respond to emails promptly. It's very important that you respond to emails promptly, right? And it's also important that you're on time during meetings and interviews. Very important, right? You also want to learn to communicate with professional languages, professional lingo, right? Right, whatever professional means in your context, right? If the organization is requesting for a particular language, particular lingo, find out what professional means, in that context. By all means, you don't want to be using vernacular when you are required to be speaking English, right? So speak professional, have professional communication, and then it's okay to clarify politely, ask for clarifications politely in cases of misunderstanding. So if you misunderstand what was said, right, you misunderstand the questions that was asked, right, you can politely ask for clarifications, or you can ask the interviewer to retake the questions again or rephrase the questions until you are clear about them, right? Don't be afraid to ask, for clarity, right? It's important. It tells a lot about your personality, right? And then you want to also follow up, right? It's okay to send a thank you email within 24 hours of your interview, right? It's not a must, it's not compulsory, but sometimes it's okay to do so, right? Another thing is that it's okay to ask for feedback. Now, in case of events where, you were not selected, you did not qualify to the next phase, you get a rejection email and all of that, it's okay to ask for feedback, even though there is no guarantee that you will get a reply, right? But some recruiters would go the extra mile to send you, a feedback, right? This was the reason, that was the reason, and it helps. Now, so when you get that, you need to stay positive, reflect on the feedback, and keep applying and improving, right? Reflect on the feedback, stay positive, don't stop applying, and keep improving on your craft, right? Remember that your CV is your first impression. Always remember that your CV is your first impression, and the way you craft your CV would be the way that people would receive you, right? Your CV is your first impression. Before they get to meet you, your CV will speak a lot about you. I thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video.